All right. Well, welcome into the show today, everybody. It is the 15th day of April. It is tax day here in the United States, and my name is Aaron Montgomery. I'm with Coastal Business Supplies, and as always, I'm joined by my very good friend Terry Combs, who's with Equipment Zone, and you can also find him over at terrycombs.com. Terry, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Aaron, I'm doing great. Yes, tax day, and I actually filed my taxes yesterday. Look at me, and
Wow.
I've been Mr. Extension for like the last 4 years, and I just got motivated and got it done. So I'm kind of proud of myself, feeling pretty good on tax day, and I didn't get beat up too badly as I expected. That's why I put it off till then, because I thought I just don't even want to know.
Yeah,
How about you?
as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go ahead and finalize mine. I was trying to come up with some ways to get get it all sorted out, but I think I'm just going to have to bite the bullet because I got beat up a little bit this year. It's pretty interesting how our government works. We made less money this year, but yet somehow I have to pay more taxes this year. I guess there's no incentive to create wealth in this country anymore. But oh well, I'll jump off my soapbox here, and drives me nuts. But yeah, got to go do that still.
Oh man! So I guess you'll be driving to the post office and to the one that can give you the midnight stamp.
I've done that before, and I remember going by post office in years past, and it was lines around the corner, people doing that same thing in the middle of the night. And in fact, I remember a grocery store one time had somebody sitting there with a stamp, and they were taking the mail. That was like their big promotion at one point, but. Now with TurboTax and whatnot, you don't have that kind of thing anymore. So
yeah, true enough. I did do the TurboTax thing, but I've done the same thing and drive by the post office and there's actually a postal carrier outside and you just hand it to them as you're driving through the parking lot. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, it wasn't as great as I would like it to be. But such is life today, and hopefully we'll have the flat tax one of these days. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be nice to actually be able to figure out what the heck's going on and be able to plan accordingly. So
when I lived in Kansas City, my next door neighbor was a CPA, and he would do my taxes, and he would always come over with two folders. He'd say, "Okay, here's black and white. Here's more gray. Your choice. Sign the one you want and send it in." I normally went with gray.
Yeah, that's pretty much why my dad got out of being an accountant. Way too many people wanted it a bit more gray, and he was just morally couldn't handle that anymore. So,
oh man, what do you do?
Well, speaking of morally, let's open up the show with some things that you found out there, and maybe talk a little bit about what's going on with that.
It's interesting, Aaron, because I always check the news for industry related things, and I ran across two this week, actually totally by accident. One of them is there was a gentleman at Coachella, which is the music festival in California, and the guy, and there's a picture of him. It was actually in the New York Daily News. And so all the way across the country, and the guy was walking around in a shirt that had big bold letters that said, "Eat, sleep, rape, and repeat." And it just caused a huge outrage at the event. And of course, then on social media. And it got me thinking about people who come to you and want you to print things that you certainly wouldn't wear yourself. And then just have moral issues with the whole thing as well. Yes, there he is, and
yep, there's a picture of him there
displaying his shirt. And this guy has probably just been. What happens is they find these people that do these kind of things on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and then they just get berated. I know when the big court storming Kansas State and Kansas game. One of the Kansas State fans ran out and crashed into one of the KU players on purpose. The guy had to cancel his Facebook account by like 6 a.m. the next morning because people had found him because of his picture. So same kind of thing. This guy is probably a real pariah now, but he certainly seems proud of that shirt, and I just can't even imagine. And the other one I found was also from New York. It was a CBS station there, talked about two guys who posted their pictures of course, they were underage drinking, and students at one of the high schools there in New York wearing shirts with big swastikas, and it said "I'll switch on it," and underneath "Hit the showers." And gosh, it just the hurt that causes, and there are the pictures, that hurt that causes people is just hard to believe that somebody would wear something like that. And in New York with such a huge Jewish population, and I personally know people in New York. One of our sponsors, Harry, at Equipment Zone, both his parents were survivors of the Holocaust, and if they were to see those kids wearing those shirts, I'm sure they would just be appalled. And so, the question being, though, what do you do when somebody walks into your shop and says, "Hey, I want you to print this for me"? And you and I were talking about this a little earlier today, and I've actually turned people down, and nobody ever came to me with anything as heinous as both of these, but things that, well, first of all, if I didn't feel comfortable with it, I wouldn't print it. Sometimes things would get through it, and they'd actually get on my production floor, and I would have people on my staff say, "I don't feel comfortable with this." Yeah. And I've then called customers and said, "Listen, the people on my staff are uncomfortable with this, and so I'm afraid we're going to have to turn your order down and refund your deposit." But I don't know. I'd be curious to see what other people have run into out there, and who the heck prints these things for these people. The kids with the swastikas look like they were handmade, but the Eat, Sleep, Rape, and Repeat from Coachella, that's obviously a screen print, or it could have been cut vinyl, I guess, but certainly somebody has professionally produced it.
Yeah, no, very interesting, because you had mentioned about your employees not feeling comfortable with something coming through your shop. I mean, we had not quite like that. I was actually fairly surprised, because we tend to be a fairly easygoing group over there at Coastal, but somebody wanted us to print a sample for them on the direct-to-garment machine, and it was a funny-looking turtle thing smoking a big, huge joint. And I actually had some people ask me, what should we do about this? Should we print it? I'm like, I guess if you don't personally feel like it's worth doing, I mean, it's just a sample, so just send them a generic, I guess. So it is kind of interesting what people, and I guess you have to kind of figure out what it is that your values as a company are. Do they line up with what you're printing? And I think you need to hold true to those values. And I think we've talked about it. I think we were talking about it with Andrea last week. Sometimes it's best just to say no and walk away. So. Exactly.
When in doubt, say no. And a lot of the conversations we have, we're talking about things like copyright infringement and things like that. And as Scott Fresner once described the very first T-Jet, the copyright infringement machine. But I think that well, and I was also thinking about it with all the issues now about the people making wedding cakes for gay marriages and things like that, and so where is the line? Because I certainly don't think that people should not cater a party or something, but it's a difficult thing, and I guess your businesses, you have to have some type of a moral compass as well. And certainly I would have turned down both of those orders. And one time I printed, my first screen printing shop was on a college campus, and I had an order, and I didn't even notice it at first, didn't pay any attention to it at first, until I realized that both these organizations were picking up on the same day. It was the Israeli Students Association, and it was the Palestinian Students Association from Ohio University. And, oh, wow. Gosh, I hope they don't show up at the same time to pick up these shirts. But anyway, it never. I didn't have a problem printing either one, but then I thought about the conflict that might happen if they showed up to pick them up at the same time. But I guess this is not quite the same issue, but it was a slight dilemma on my part.
Well, you didn't have a holy war in your parking lot, apparently, so
Right,
you're good. All right. Well, speaking of, you'd mentioned weddings and stuff. What we're really here to talk about today is niche markets. We try to do this monthly, and looking back on our schedule, last time we did this was at the end of January, so we kind of let it get away from us, all the cool, fun things that we've been doing with live events and everything else. But I think it's due, and because of some scheduling conflicts and our good friend Andrea being rather sick, we didn't want to force her into a show this Friday, and said, hey, let's throw this together. We'll do a hangout, and then we'll put it up on Friday as the podcast. So if you are listening to this via the podcast, you miss seeing our pretty faces. I actually did look like I just woke up here, but just the way I look today. And Terry is enjoying a beer, so you're missing out on that fun.
Well, this show, as you know, Aaron, started from you and I hanging out, having wings and beer, and talking shop over the years, and at trade shows around the world. So I think it's appropriate for an evening show for me to have a beer here by my side.
Yeah, when we were starting the show, I was like, "Oh man, I don't have enough time. I forgot to bring a beer down with me." But that's okay. I worked from home today. We kind of at some doctors trying to figure out what's going on. I've got some tingling in my fingers and toes, so
Really?
still haven't really quite figured it out. I guess right now we're hanging our hat on a vitamin B deficiency. So I'm taking vitamin B, and I feel fine, which is the weirdest part. So I guess it's just part of getting old. I don't know.
Well, I hope you feel better and get to the root of that. It's funny you talk about working from home, because 2 weeks ago we talked about on the show about being able to work from home for a day or for half a day, and if you can't do that, then you're doing something wrong. If you can't be away from the office for half a day or a day, it's not your employees who aren't doing the job, it's you. Yeah. Because they should be empowered that, hey, if you don't come in, they don't skip a beat. So, and I'm sure that was the case with your guys, with your crew today.
Yeah, I'm not sure any of them actually knew I was gone, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, okay, so talking about niche markets, and that's always a big deal for us. And interestingly enough, the first one that I want to talk about was actually suggested at one of my seminars. I think it was Kansas City, and it was suggested to me. I do these niche market seminars at all these different events, and I believe it was at DAX in Kansas City that Dan from Invinci Graphics came up to me with an idea that he had for a niche market, and I said, listen, Dan, the first time we bring it up on the show, I'm going to give you a shout out, because he said that all the folks at Invinci Graphics listen to the program on a regular basis. So a little shout out to everybody over at Invinci Graphics, and credit to Dan for walking up and saying, hey, here's my idea. So Dan's idea was to work with caterers and wedding planners, and I thought, that is a fabulous idea, because my daughter got married last year, and certainly you go to events that are catered, and it just made such perfect sense. In fact, the more I thought about it, I thought every one of our areas that we talk about, all the sublimation folks and the direct-to-garment folks and the screen, everybody could profit from this by partnering up with caterers and wedding planners. And my daughter Taylor, when she had her screen printing business, she used to print for wedding planners. She would print the shirts that they would wear for the events, and but take it a step further, and the bachelorette parties and all those events. And Aaron, how many bachelorette parties have you and I stumbled across over the years? Yeah,
out of trade shows and post show fun, and running into those the stories we could tell or shouldn't tell.
Well, my favorite was in Berlin. Remember, we ran into the bachelorette party in Berlin, and they ended up paying for us all to go into a club with them, and we had a big time with them and their boyfriends. And
they do it a little differently over there in Germany than we do.
I think two of them spoke English, as I recall, but that was all that we needed. But and look at all the times you go to Vegas and things like that, and you see bachelor parties and bachelorette parties, and you see a lot of printed garments. So why not make arrangements with a caterer or wedding planners and things like that to offer those things as well, and you could put together whole packages for them to show to their prospective to the brides and grooms and whoever you're catering for, whether it's a corporate caterer or Aaron, you remember we used to have those big open houses at when we were both at US Screen, and we'd have 150 people come, and all those were catered events, and my mind just started spinning with that and thought, man, you could build a whole business around working with caterers and wedding planners. So hats off to Dan for giving that to us, and that's going to be in my second book on niche markets, which is going to be called Another 52 Niche Markets. 52 Niche Markets is not available yet, but it is so close. I wanted to have it up on Amazon by today, but taxes and a few other articles I actually had to write for Impressions and for Screen Printing Magazine kind of got in my way a little bit. And so anyway, hopefully by the end of the month it'll be up, and you can find all my books just by going to Amazon and looking for Terry Combs, just under the name Terry Combs. I started to say terrycombs.com right there at the bottom of the screen. So anyway, I love the idea, and I think that, and here's the deal: when you partner with somebody like this, you don't have to pay them a lot, but if you give them maybe 5% of everything they direct to you, and you don't need to expect them to do the work. All you really need to do is say, okay, bachelorette party, here's a booklet that shows 37 graphics that that the screen printer has created for us, or this embroiderer has created, or whoever, and then you take care of the rest. But you need to make sure that they get compensated, and I always throw the number 5% around as a kind of a finder's fee. I think it's a fair amount of money, and certainly something you can afford to do for business that you are not going to get otherwise. So yeah. That's my thought on that subject.
Cool. Well, so the wedding thing is actually, when you brought up the weddings in general there, me being in the sublimation world at this point, weddings are huge. Weddings are what a lot of people are in business doing, period. You were at my wedding not too terribly long ago, and hopefully you went home with a sublimated mug. I don't know if you got yours or not because you were at the head table there, but that was our kind of table gift thing that we did. Was we had mugs sublimated with a little graphic on it and our names and the date and all that stuff, and then we put Minnesota Land O'Lakes hot chocolate into it with some wrapping and stuff, and that was the take home gift for all of our wedding guests. So just
must still be in my hotel like that. Mine must still be in the hotel room there at the casino. I don't think I brought that home with me.
Well, I'll have to track down an extra one. I'm sure I have plenty in my cupboards here, and I'll get you your wedding mug.
There, and that's another great idea. I mean, coffee mugs and so many different products that could that the bride and groom or whoever is being catered. Just by bringing up the suggestion, I know when I got married many years ago that some things were suggested. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that too. Let's add that too. So a lot of what we sell is are great add-on items. So
absolutely. In fact, I know a couple of companies at least off the top of my head here that pretty much all they do is work with wedding photographers. And, so the photographers will take all the pictures, and then afterwards they'll be able to offer them up, not only just the picture on a print or, canvas type situation, but they can also sell to them, mugs and keychains and nice photo panels and other gift items that that wedding photographer can get more money from, and the sublimators involved in it as well. And there's plenty of profit to go around, and everybody's happy. So it's a good niche to be a part of, especially
exactly. It comes back around to being an entrepreneur, and we talked about a few weeks ago, well, I guess a couple of months ago now, about the gentleman I know in Nova Scotia that has the ice cream shop that decided to buy a direct-to-garment printer because everybody's looking at the whale watching pictures while they eat their ice cream. And he said, well, if I had a direct-to-garment printer, I could put those whale pictures on a shirt while they eat their ice cream. And so instead of getting $5, he got $25. And, you always have to be thinking like an entrepreneur. And I think that's a great avenue for a very, very profitable niche.
Absolutely.
The next thing, Aaron, that I was thinking about is, and this was based on our conversation, I think it was last week, we were talking about, things coming up, and I said Memorial Day is coming up, so hey, lots of events, so make sure that you go out there and look. And if you sell to any businesses right now, you should contact all of them and say, hey, are you going to be doing a company picnic over Memorial Day or this summer? And just by suggesting it, you might motivate them to say, we should do that. And oh, by the way, when you do it, everybody's going to want a T-shirt. So it's funny too, because I just was looking on Facebook the other day, and a friend of mine back in Kansas City, the company she works for, they all went to the Royals game, and guess what? They're all wearing T-shirts. So those kind of events, a lot of times people do those events and don't think about creating a party favor or an item to go with it. So, it's up to you to suggest it. So check in with all the people that you're already selling to ask them if they're having any kind of summer get-together, summer events for their employees or staff, and maybe motivate them. And hey, if you come up with some great ideas, maybe there's a venue close to you where companies have parties all the time, and go get with the people at that venue, offer them 5%, and say, recommend to them that they get T-shirts or whatever for this event. So company picnics are around the corner. It's gonna be nice for all you guys starting pretty soon.
There's the stone. There's the stone that gets thrown right there, because it's going to be 100 plus there.
Say it again.
I said, yeah, because it's going to be up over 100 there soon. So you better.
It is around the corner. We're going to
take your pill that I'll be throwing back your way.
You know what I'm always saying, Aaron, I will take 115 day over a snow day anytime. I've shoveled my last shovel full of snow.
Yeah. All right. So what's the next niche?
Well, the next one's not so much a niche as it is an avenue to get business. And the next one is to join civic groups, booster clubs, groups in your community that do volunteer work. And the reason that I suggest doing this, and first of all, don't join the Kiwanis Club or the any of these. It's escaping me this minute. All the different civic groups that you can join. Don't join just so you can sell T-shirts, because it's never going to work, and you're not going to come across as sincere. But join to be a member, a full-fledged member, and participate. The JCs and all these different groups, because the people who belong to these groups are the movers and shakers in your community, and the potential there of networking and selling product, to be perfectly honest, is tremendous. Because every group I've ever belonged to, the minute you say that you're a screen printer, or whatever kind of decorator, they're immediately saying, hey, we need shirts, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. So I'm a big proponent of that, and it doesn't even have to be a civic group. I've got a buddy in Columbus, Ohio, that he's involved in a Civil War roundtable, which is a bunch of guys who get together and talk about the Civil War, and they do a lot of fundraising to preserve battlefields. And guess what you get if you donate money to preserve a battlefield? It's a T-shirt. You get a T-shirt with a little Civil War symbol on it, and so so even that organization, there was a potential, and I used to print those shirts for them, and of course, I'm a big Civil War buff anyway, but it's just any of these kinds of groups give you the potential of first selling garments to them, because when I was an active screen printer, when I first started, I was in the Kiwanis Club, and we sponsored a parade, and so everybody in the Kiwanis Club had a Kiwanis Club hat with something about the parade on it, basically ask me if you're lost kind of thing, and lots of potential there, but I also made a lot of connections for other sales as well. So that's my next suggestion is to join civic groups, booster clubs, things like that in your community, to more than anything to network, but only do it if you're going to get involved. Don't be that person who joins to get something out of it for yourself. That getting something for yourself comes as that's the gravy on top of getting out there and helping the community. So
yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, what's next then? What else you got for us there, Terry?
How about gymnastics teams? And I know I talk a lot about dance teams and this and that. When you watch the Olympics, there are 7 or 8 girls and there's 7 or 8 guys, and they're walking out there, and you think, well, that's not very many. But back at their home gym, and Aaron, there's a gym down in Mesa that where Olympic hopefuls train. And you'll walk in there at any given time, and there might be 75 or 100 kids in there training, and that's 7 days a week. And so it's really a great place to sell printed apparel. And what I would do is I would contact the owner of the gym and offer them different packages because every gym that my kids ever belonged to, they came home with the T-shirt, and they had a bag, and they had everything, and sweatshirts. So I would offer different packages and let them take orders, but you do the work. You do small reorders, things like that. I was thinking about this because all of our friends who are involved in bling, man, you're going to be in heaven with working with the gymnasts, because they love bling. And now, be aware though, you're going to be printing a lot of smalls and extra smalls and anything smaller than that you can get. You're not going to be printing any mediums or larges when you're printing for the gymnastics kids. And another thing while you're there though is when my daughter Riley was involved in gymnastics. One of the things that they did at the gym all the time is they would have birthday parties, and the kids would come in for the birthday party, and they'd have one of the instructors there teach them how to do things. It was mostly them kind of running around and jumping on the trampolines and things like that. But why not offer T-shirts for that same party, and allow the owner of the gym to offer that service? And you, of course, do the work, and you pay them a finder's fee, and pay them a finder's fee, and pay them a finder's fee. And next thing you know, you have this great partnership going. So I think gymnastics gyms are a great place to sell a lot of product and get some long-term sales.
Cool. Well, speaking of partnerships with gymnastics gyms, kind of adding on to what you said there is I actually know a screen printer just on the other side of the river in Illinois that actually rented their space out of a gymnastics gym, and so partnered with the gym and does all their work, but does a bunch of other work too outside of just that. But obviously it's good continuous business for them, and it allows them to go out and find other business. They print. I know them because they also print volleyball jerseys for a lot of the adult teams around the St. Louis area. So good stuff there to get partnered up with those people.
Absolutely, and I don't think we've ever talked about volleyball to any great extent as a niche market, but I know you used to put on tournaments and have hundreds of people, right, come to the events.
Absolutely, yeah. From the youth volleyball movement is massive, and so that's a huge avenue there, and I've been involved in garment printing here for going on 15 years now, over 15 years, I guess, and I have a stack of shirts that I have not printed though, and that are all volleyball. I have to sort through all the volleyball shirts to find my two regular guys shirt here.
Very nice. As I recall, we printed a few volleyball shirts after hours when we were both at US Screen.
Well, quick story about that. So with the adult volleyball, you have to have certain jerseys, and so I remember one morning we were playing the next day in Tucson, and we didn't have our jerseys done. So my buddy and I, this is back in my, just prefacing this now so I get in trouble with my wife, back in my single days, but we stayed out all night at the bar, and then didn't go to bed, just went directly to US Screen's office there and printed our jerseys on the T-Jets. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Scott was always good about letting us go in and use the equipment whenever we wanted. So as long as we cleaned up after we left, we were good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays I've cut vinyl after hours at Coastal, and in fact was out in Phoenix last Memorial Day for USAV Nationals, and that's adult teams. You've got over 1,000 teams over a week-long period, and every single one of them's got to have jerseys, and of course we had to have matching sweatshirts and other stuff like that. And in fact, our team actually had matching socks that we sublimated, so it was pretty cool.
You are the master of sublimated socks. I don't think I've seen you once in the last 2 years where you weren't wearing a pair of some kind of sublimated socks.
Yeah, I've pretty much gotten rid of all my other socks, so if I need a different color for that day, I can just go ahead and print them.
Well, let's jump on to another springtime activity, and that's bicycle clubs, and not talk about bikers, but bicyclists, and I have two good friends, one in Kansas City and one in Detroit, two buddies from college who, this is what they do. This is how they get their exercise, and the one in Kansas City, he basically is biking every single day. He's an attorney by day and a bicyclist by evening, and is always posting on Facebook, hey, who wants to take this ride? Who wants to take that ride? But all these groups, it's right back to what we've talked about over and over and over again with niche markets, and that is things that people are passionate about, they will spend money on. And people who are bikers, they will spend, they're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on bikes, and they want to belong. They want to show that they belong to that group and that association. And so I think there's an opportunity there to find these bicycle groups, and easy enough just by going to the bike shops and talking to the folks there about who the different groups are and who's in charge, and they'll give you the guy's phone number, I'm sure. And a good opportunity. And one thing you can do with this is you could also have, if you bought that reflective ink and you never got a chance to use it, or you have that reflective vinyl, here's a good opportunity, because put a strip of that on the lower bottom of the back of the shirt, maybe on the sleeves, and so it's reflective when these guys are biking after dark. It's kind of a nice little add-on, and maybe a little something different than a lot of your competitors might be offering. So it's springtime. These guys are just all getting geared up again. They're all shutting down here in Arizona because it's just going to be too darn hot to bike here in a few more weeks. But I think it's a good opportunity, and seek out some of these bicycle clubs.
Yeah, in fact, and it's actually called cycling, Terry, just so you know, and they're cyclists. Bikers are the motorcycle people, so just you will probably feel,
by the way, instead of just changing my outline.
Well, more fun this way. So they're you'll probably end up printing a lot of performance wear too. The cotton t-shirt's not going to cut it when you're biking 50 miles in Phoenix. So
exactly.
Definitely got to be prepared to be able to print some performance wear. cycling jerseys are actually sublimated, but they're typically cut and sew, so not too many people have that capability. But being able to create some of those things are always good. And I guess another thing on that front to think of is, I don't know why I ever got hooked on this, but it's coming around to be that time of year where the Tour de France is going to start happening again. And I got hooked on it several years back, and we'll get up at 6 in the morning just to watch the day's race. And so people do start getting interested in cycling and thinking about it. And so that's normally in around the 4th of July time frame. And so, you get those people excited about cycling and get out to those niches.
And we don't need to get into performance enhancing drugs during this segment, right?
No. Hey, if everybody's doing it,
Exactly.
I don't know if they want to kill themselves. That's I'm just watching it for entertainment, and they're all doing it. So whatever.
It's frightening for me to watch those guys on those mountain highways and those hairpin corners, and I'm picturing myself going over the side,
Oh yeah. Well, normally when I do watch the broadcasts, unless I knew something specific went on, I do kind of fast forward through it and just look for kind of the melees and some of that. So
right.
They're pretty hardcore.
Well, there's an old movie called American Flyer you should look up about cycling. That's pretty good. So.
All right. Well, what's the next one on the list there?
Well, this one, we may have talked about this one in the past. I was telling you earlier, I get kind of confused because we put so many on the list and we don't get to all of them. So I tried to start this list from the back end of the list, but this one is game day packages, and this actually this idea came really from there's a local. Well, a third location is opening here called there's a bar called Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers, and that is after my own heart of name your business for what it is. Let's see, I don't know, what do you have here? Well, we have cold beer and we have cheeseburgers. That's kind of it. But there's actually one of them is opening about a quarter of a block from me. Aaron, the old office that used to be on Shea. I don't know maybe if you do or not. There's a bar called the Office, so that people could say, "Oh, I was at the office. I was at the office late," or whatever. Anyway, it's opening up as one of these cold beers and cheeseburgers. But they do game day packages, which means that they will have a bus come up to the front of the building on say it's going to be they're going to maybe they're going to go to a U of A game, and they'll have a bus pull up, and they of course they have beers and they have food, and you get the ticket to the game and everything. They will drive you to Tucson, and everybody goes to the game, and then everybody comes back out to the bus, and they come back again. And they do things like that. They do Cardinals games. They do Arizona State games. But I thought, what a great idea, and what a great idea to have T-shirts to identify all those people. And so the idea being, if there's like a local sports bar, something like that, where they're not doing something like that, you could go in and suggest it to them that they put these packages together. And of course, your part of the package is you get to do the T-shirts. And of course, once you're in the door doing the T-shirts, hopefully you're going to be doing the T-shirts for all their events and for their staff and everything else. But I was very impressed with the what they put into these game day packages, and they have posters up in the bars, and it's a pretty big deal. And it apparently they're well attended because they have a regular schedule of these. So get out there and recommend game day packages to your to some local sports bar, and bear in mind that that colleges and professional sports teams, they cater to groups coming in as well. So you could get involved in discounted tickets and things like that as well. So I like the idea of it, and I think it has potential if you're maybe printing for bars and taverns that as we've talked about before, creating business where business didn't exist before. That we're not buying T-shirts for that because we're not doing it. But if we're doing it, hey, that's another opportunity to sell more garments. So that's my next suggestion.
All right. Well, those are good suggestions. We always seem to find niches around bars. I don't know if that just means that we've been there or what.
I know, and I have another one.
All right. Well, what's the next one then?
Well, my next one is home brewers, and Aaron, I don't even know if you know this or not, but I do a little home brewing as well, and it's good stuff. The first time I made beer, I thought I was almost afraid to drink it. I thought maybe I'd keel over or something, but it was really good, and all my friends liked it, and I'm like, I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm not. I've got my roommate from college who lives in Hilton Head, South Carolina. He's serious about it. I mean, he's got boilers and all kinds of things, but I'm my little keg is made of plastic, but hey, it makes good beer and it's a lot of fun to do. But
and I thought we were friends. I've never had any of this beer, so
yeah. You know what? I was just thinking the other day I need to make myself up another batch. No, this isn't moonshine. This is yeah. Well, okay. I'm gonna make some beer and I'm gonna share it with you.
All right. We're gonna have the two regular guys beer. I mean, gosh, we can sell that, right?
Yeah. See, well, and that falls right into what I was going to talk about. Because you could certainly do T-shirts for the guys that do homebrew because they usually name their own beers, and if you've got if you're printing on a vinyl printer or a printer that does color printing, that you can do stickers that you can stick onto the bottles, because you bottle this in plastic bottles and label-less, so you could create the labels and basically help people create their own beer label with their own name and everything, and put that onto shirts. And if you have the capability, like sublimation, you could do all kinds of additional products, and anybody out there doing can huggies, things like that. Certainly anybody doing glass decorating. I think it's a great opportunity, and home brewers are, a lot of them are way more serious about it than me, and just they've got a batch going all the time, and I think it's a good opportunity to kind of maybe attack a market that I don't think anybody is really dealing with right now. And I've seen some pretty cool homebrewing shirts that are generic, but I think it might be a kind of a neat deal. And I would find these people, through the homebrewing websites and homebrewing events. And there are such events going on, especially in the larger cities. So I would take advantage of that.
Cool. That sounds like a great idea. And I think, and now I'm also really excited about the beer. So I'm going to hold you to that, Terry.
I'm thinking about making a blonde ale. So I've made it before. It's really good. And
that sounds delicious. Can't wait. Maybe you can do something a little gray or something. I don't know if you have a gray ale. Is there such a?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it'd be that tasty, the gray ale.
No, probably not. All right. Well, enough about alcohol. I know it's 9:45 at night here, later in the evening there, so we're all thinking about beer right now. But what else do you got for us?
Well, just all over the news right now is now that all these people are declaring their that they are running for president, and I started thinking about political printing again, and a lot of opportunity there. Here's my one rule: make sure you get paid before Election Day, because half of your customers are going to not be motivated to pay you. So, of course, if you're printing for everybody, but and I always like to say that I am a total independent when it comes to political printing, because I will certainly print for any party. And when I do this presentation as a slideshow, the slide is a guy wearing a T-shirt. He's a libertarian, and I'm like, see, I did make half this crowd mad by having a Democrat or a Republican T-shirt. I'm like, who hates libertarians? Nobody. So
I was gonna ask you that because of our discussion at the top of the podcast about turning away some prints. So I wasn't sure if you were turning any prints away if you'd. But anyhow, you answered that nicely. So. Keep going.
Well, anyway, I think it's an opportunity, and a lot of our, and of course, more and more of our friends who are decorators also are doing signage and things like that, and so it's really a good opportunity, and I know people that all they do are type, political type signs and things like that. Back to sublimation. I think it's a good opportunity for coffee mugs and lots of things like that as well. But anybody from the governor, from the president, down to the guy running for constable, they are in the market for paraphernalia to promote their political aspirations. So and beyond that, it's all the different issues that, vote yes on 209, vote no on 209, whichever it is, and whatever 209 is. If anybody's out there listening, saying, because I don't know what that is, but in school board and everything else, there's opportunity for decorators, and I think it's a good opportunity. And the prints are pretty basic. You're going to do a lot of red, white, and blue. A lot of white shirts with blue and red prints, and maybe some black lettering. So pretty easy prints, and I think a good opportunity. So
yeah. Hey, speaking of that, you said sublimation in there too, and I always perk up when you say sublimation, obviously. So, to kind of follow up with that, we actually had a customer that got really into doing cell phone cases for political parties, but we have an actual cell phone case that is made entirely in the U.S., including the plastic part, which is a little bit rare for some of the sublimated items. A lot of those are imported. So he was going through tons of those, and he was promoting the fact that it was USA made. So I think that can go a long ways in political campaigns to be able to say, hey, this is a USA made product. So there's a lot of people here in the States that are making fully USA made things like garments and stuff like that. I know Vapor Apparel's started building a lot of their garments in the U.S. and are promoting them as a USA-made product and some of that. So, you can look for that. And then I actually had a question for you, Terry. So you had mentioned, that maybe you could print some signs. This isn't necessarily a niche, but maybe just share with people a little bit about what they need to be able to do to screen print a sign different from a garment.
Well, a lot of signs today, of course, are inkjet printed, and but I've certainly printed signs before. It's just a matter really of getting the right ink and whatever you're printing on, whether it's cardstock or plastic. Just talk to your ink supplier, tell them what you're printing on, and they will provide you with the right ink. And besides the ink, you'll want whatever solution it is that you need to clean up that ink, and because you have to think of the whole project. But beyond that, it's really just a matter of getting a really nice high mesh screen, nice and tight. Maybe using capillary film to create the screen, because it'll give you a nice crisp edge for the curve of lettering and things like that. Beyond that, it's printing them just like you're screen printing a T-shirt. And then most of these inks, if not all, will air dry. So pretty easy to do. Just kind of line them up around your shop. And I printed a lot of oddball things over the years, including some signs. So it certainly can be done, and I'm sure that we have listeners who have much better ways to do it. But hey, you do what you're capable of doing, right?
Absolutely, get the job done. All right, so looks like we got about enough time for one more, Terry, and then we'll get into wrapping up the show.
Okay, well, let's talk about summer camps. And I know I've talked about in niche markets about printing for camps, and that's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about all your local high school bands, all your local high school cheerleaders. All these groups go away to camp in the summer to learn, different music and learn different cheers and things like that. And I would recommend that you contact the schools and contact these groups before they go, and get them outfitted before they go in T-shirts and caps and whatever other apparel, maybe shorts, those kind of things. These guys take a lot of pride in belonging to the organization they belong to, and it's a really great opportunity. Now, when you print for high school bands, it's good if I used to screen print them, But if you have the capability of doing other decoration methods, because the saxophone players want somewhere on there to say that they're a saxophone player, the drummers want it to say that they're drummers. So, whether it be cut vinyl or sublimation or direct to garment or whatever, if you can personalize some of those to a certain extent, that's a good way to get in the door. So contact, that's coming up around the corner. So right now is the time to contact all the high schools and the bands and the cheerleaders and whatever groups might be going to summer camps. They're usually on college campuses somewhere in the state. So I will wrap with that one.
Awesome. Well, that's great stuff. All right, good. Well, we covered the gamut as usual, and left some on the table for next time. So we'll slide that one into the next one. I'll probably throw it in the show notes anyways, but just to have that there. All right. Well, let's get to the next segment of our show that we've been doing for a while now, actually, and I think it's going really well. In fact, if you want to check out some of our tips from previously, just head on over to our website but Terry, I'm going to let you dive into that, and while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our website with the other tips on it, and so go ahead and tell us your quick tip that people can use today.
Okay, and for anybody listening for the first time, I don't actually talk the whole time at all the shows. We go back and forth on these quick tips. It just happens to be my week. So what I wanted to talk about today is artwork for direct garment printing. And the reason I want to bring it up is because so often people I'll have people send me artwork and say, hey, can you print this sample for me? My machine hasn't arrived yet, but I want to show this to the customer. And the file is just atrocious. It's 72 DPI. It's 1 inch by 1 inch. And I have to say to them, listen, I'm not going to print this for you because you don't want to show it to the customer. And here's what you need. You need a 300 DPI file. You need it saved as a PNG, a PSD, or an EPS file with a transparent background. If you tell your customer that this is what you need, they can generally provide that to you. And it's just really a matter of educating the customer. Because, Aaron, as you know, we get a lot of Word documents. We get a lot of PDFs. And a PDF is fine for printing. But if you have to manipulate it at all, you don't have the ability to do that in your art program, or not easily in your art program. So PNG, PSD, EPS file, save it with a transparent background. If you could save it at 300 DPI at full size, that's going to be ideal, and it can work for a lot of other decoration methods, but for direct to garment, it's perfect.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, here's that page I was telling you about. If you just go over to tworegularguys.com and check it out there. If you're going to want to go up to the industry info section here, and you've got quick tips and you've got an industry calendar up there as well. But the quick tips archived of all of the past ones. You can use this search box right here and try to tag them with what they're related to as best as possible. So you should be able to pull up all the information you need right there. And so appreciate stopping by our website there, and hopefully that is some information that can help you in your day-to-day activities there. So all right, let me pull this back down.
I actually go there every other week to see if the tip that I've come up with I've already done. So I search it every week to see if I've already talked about that subject.
Nice. Well, I'll get them caught up here soon. Okay. So, all right. Well, events have coming up here. I actually have an event here, so we're pretty excited about it. Actually, it's our 25th anniversary party. It's on May 1st. And in the morning, we're actually doing a sublimation workshop. Our friend Jimmy Lamb's going to be in our office helping us with that, going over their new Creative Studio software and that Sawgrass has. And we're going to be pressing and printing, and Unisub's donated to the cause some natural wood blanks that we can press onto, so you can kind of see how that works. And Vapors donated some socks to the cause, so we'll be decorating some socks and some stuff like that, and some cell phone cases. So come in and do some sublimation with us, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then at lunchtime, we're going to open the doors up to anybody who wants to come on by. We've actually got some people on our Facebook that aren't actually that close that are talking about coming out, so we're really excited to have people come from far and wide. And we're going to do some barbecue and having somebody come in and do some barbecue for us. We're going to have some parking lot games. I told them no beer pong or flip cup. I think we have to legally. I don't think we can do that, but we're gonna have some washers and stuff like that. I'm still trying to talk them into getting a dunk tank, and we'll see who they vote to put in it if I can pull that off. But so we'll have a lot of fun and just an opportunity to celebrate. We're gonna have a cake, obviously. You can't have a party without cake. So we're going to do that. And so we're really looking forward to that. And that's on the 1st of May. So you can check out information about that over at coastalbusiness.com. Terry, what else you got coming up here?
Well, I have my next complete screen printing business course will be at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago on May 16th and 17th. Always a well-attended event. So if you're interested in that, make sure you get signed up pretty soon, because they more often than not, they sell out that event. It's limited to 16 people because we want people to have a lot of hands-on opportunities. So it's always a Saturday and Sunday, and you can find that at Atlas Screen Supply's website or on my website, you can, which is terrycombs.com, and just look under tour dates, and it lists all my upcoming classes, seminars, events around the country. And Aaron, I know you and I are going to be doing an event. We're both going to be at the ASI show in Chicago in July, I understand.
Yep, definitely looking forward to doing that. I'm trying to figure out how to condense our 90 minutes that runs over 90 minutes into 15 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that.
There's there's 30-minute seminars that we do at ASI. It's fun and they're well received. But man, you by the time you introduce yourself and talk a little bit, you're well into your 30 minutes. That's for sure.
Yeah. I figure I'll have a little bit better chance at it because, I wind you and Andrea up at our other seminars and let you go. So hopefully I can figure out a way to condense that down. Now, it'll be a lot of fun and also going to talk social media. So I have to start getting back on Instagram and some other things here. I've actually got somebody that's taken over most of social media at Coastal, and so I've been a little less active lately, and she's doing a fantastic job with it and having a lot of fun and having good conversations with customers out there. So that's what we'll talk about. There are some shows coming up here soon, and in fact, we're going to be live from the DAX Chicagoland show. That's out in Tinley Park, and that's April 24th and 25th is that show, and we'll be doing our show from the New Product Showcase on that Friday. In fact, I'm only going to be there on that Friday. I get to kind of pull a Terry on this one and zoom in and zoom out. So should be good.
I'll be the same. I'm in and out on. I'm coming in on Thursday night. I'm out on Friday night. So.
Outstanding. So somebody will have to update us on how the show went on Saturday. I've got my staff there, so we'll get the full update. I'm actually running in a 5K the next day, and I promised my wife a long time ago that I'd do that. So I'm heading back for that. And then ISS Nashville is coming up shortly thereafter on May 7th through the 9th, and I think we're still working out details on that, but I think you and Andrea are going to actually do that show there at Nashville, since I'm not going to be around for that one.
It'd be one regular guy and one regular girl, I guess.
Yeah. You guys are just slowly phasing me out. So, so looking forward to that. And then NBM in Arlington, May 14th through the 16th. Should be a great show out there. I'm looking forward to getting to that one for the first time. This is their third year, and finally going to get out to it myself. And we've got a booth there, so looking forward to that. And then we got the NBM Indie Show, June 4th through the 6th, and I think you're going to be there as well, Terry. And I am,
and I know that we've been invited to do the two regular guys from the fashion show stage this time. So
yeah, I'm going to have to step up my fashion, but
as I recall, the email said so that we won't be mistaken as models.
Yeah, I've never worried about that, but anyways, no, we're talking to Dave Pomeroy right now about it, so we're working out details, but we plan on having this show live there, and that's what they call their big show, but it's not big as in big. I mean, it is big show for them, but it's kind of a play on words. It's Best in Graphics is what that stands for. So that's their Best in Graphics show. They're also co-locating, and I'm just spaced on who it is, so I apologize. I'll track that information down, but they're co-locating with somebody there, so should be a great event to get to, and that is the 4th through the 6th, again, NBM Indy. You can find more information over at nbmshows.com. So that's about it, Terry. We've done just exactly right on here, so I guess I'll bid you adieu. Your beer's probably empty, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Cheers. Talk to you soon.